Maya had always been different. While other kids at Lincoln High School filled the hallways with their chatter and laughter, she moved through them like a ghost, carrying her books close to her chest, eyes fixed on the worn linoleum beneath her feet. It wasn't that she was shy. Shy suggests a choice. Maya had learned early that silence was safer than speaking, invisibility more comfortable than being seen. The Rodriguez family had moved to Millbrook, Ohio, when Maya was 12, after her father lost his job at the automotive plant back in Detroit. Small towns, her mother had said, were supposed to be kinder, friendlier places where everyone knew everyone and looked out for each other. But Maya quickly discovered that small towns could also be unforgiving to those who didn't fit the mold. Her accent was different, softer around the edges with traces of her grandmother's Spanish lullabies. Her clothes came from thrift stores rather than the mall. And worst of all, she had developed a stutter after the move, a nervous tic that made her words stumble over each other like dominoes falling in the wrong direction. The kids at school had been merciless. They nicknamed her Broken Record because she'd repeat the first syllable of words when she was nervous, which was almost always. By sophomore year, Maya had perfected the art of disappearing. She ate lunch in the library, chose seats in the back row, and never, ever raised her hand in class. Her teachers wrote concerned notes about her participation grades, but Maya preferred the safety of silence to the risk of ridicule. At home, her parents worried, but between working double shifts at the local diner and trying to make ends meet, they didn't have the bandwidth to dig deeper into their daughter's pain. The one place Maya felt truly herself was in her bedroom, late at night when the house was quiet and the world couldn't judge her. She'd put on her grandmother's old headphones, the big, clunky kind from the 80s, and sing along to everything from Aretha Franklin to Adele. Her voice, free from the constraints of stuttering speech, would soar through melodies like a bird released from its cage. In those moments, she wasn't Maya the voiceless. She was simply Maya, and she was magnificent. But no one knew about these midnight concerts. Not her parents, not her few acquaintances at school, not even Mrs. Henderson, the music teacher who had tried repeatedly to convince Maya to join the school choir. Maya had politely declined each invitation, shaking her head and mumbling something about being too busy with homework. Everything changed on a rainy Tuesday in March when fate decided to intervene in the form of a broken elevator. Lincoln High was hosting its annual Spring Talent Showcase, a beloved tradition that brought the entire community together. Maya normally would have avoided the auditorium entirely, but she'd volunteered to help the drama club move props to the storage room on the third floor. When the old elevator got stuck between floors with Maya and 3 boxes of costume pieces inside, she found herself trapped with nothing but time and her own thoughts. The maintenance crew estimated it would take at least 2 hours to fix the mechanical issue. Maya could hear the talent show rehearsals echoing through the elevator shaft, snippets of monologues, dance routines, and musical numbers filtering through the metal walls. She closed her eyes and listened, unconsciously humming along to a particularly beautiful piano piece that seemed to wrap around her like a warm embrace. Without thinking, she began to sing. Softly at first, just harmonizing with the distant melody, but then with growing confidence as the acoustics of the small space amplified her voice in the most magical way. The song was Bridge Over Troubled Water by Simon and Garfunkel, a song her grandmother used to sing while cooking Sunday dinners. Maya's voice transformed the cramped elevator into a cathedral, each note pure and crystalline, filled with years of suppressed emotion and hidden dreams. She didn't notice that the maintenance crew had stopped their repair work to listen. She didn't see Mr. Patterson, the principal, standing slack-jawed in the hallway below. She had no idea that someone had quietly started recording on their phone, capturing every note of her impromptu performance. When the elevator doors finally opened, Maya was greeted by a crowd of faces, students, teachers, and even some parents who had arrived early for the talent show. The silence stretched for what felt like eternity before someone started clapping. Then another person joined in, and another, until the entire hallway erupted in thunderous applause. Maya's face flushed crimson. She grabbed the nearest box of props and pushed through the crowd, mumbling apologies and trying to escape the attention that felt like spotlights burning her skin. But word had already begun to spread through the school like wildfire. The girl who never spoke had a voice that could move mountains. Mrs. Henderson found Maya hiding in the prop closet 20 minutes later, tears streaming down her face and her whole body shaking. "Maya," the teacher said gently, settling down on a dusty crate beside her student. "That was the most beautiful thing I've heard in 30 years of teaching music. Why didn't you tell me you could sing like that?" Maya's response came in broken whispers between sobs. Because I can't even talk right. How can I sing for people when I can't even say my own name without messing up?" Mrs. Henderson's heart broke a little more with each stuttered word. She'd suspected there was something special about Maya, had noticed the way the girl's eyes lit up during music class even as she remained silent. But she'd never imagined the depth of talent hiding beneath the surface. "Singing and speaking use different parts of your brain," Mrs. Henderson explained patiently. "Many people who stutter find that their stutter disappears when they sing. Your voice, your singing voice, it's not broken, Maya. It's extraordinary." Over the next few days, Maya found herself at the center of attention she'd spent years avoiding. The video of her elevator performance had been shared throughout the school, and suddenly everyone wanted to talk to the girl who had been invisible for so long. Some of the attention was positive, genuine compliments and invitations to perform at various school events. But some of it felt invasive, like people were treating her as a curiosity rather than a person. The pressure came to a head when Mrs. Henderson approached Maya with an opportunity that felt both like a dream and a nightmare. The school's star vocalist for the talent showcase, Jessica Crawford, had come down with severe laryngitis and couldn't perform. The show was in 3 days, and they needed someone to fill the slot. "I know it's scary," Mrs. Henderson said, "but Maya, you have a gift. And gifts are meant to be shared." Maya's first instinct was to refuse. The idea of standing on that stage under those lights, with hundreds of pairs of eyes watching her, it was paralyzing. But something deeper was stirring inside her, a voice that had been silent for too long, demanding to be heard. That night, Maya sat on her bedroom floor with her grandmother's headphones, but instead of singing along to someone else's music, she found herself creating something new. Melodies poured out of her like water from a broken dam, carrying with them all the pain and beauty and hope she'd kept locked away for so long. Her parents found her there the next morning, surrounded by scribbled lyrics and musical notes, her voice hoarse from singing through the night. "Mija," her mother whispered, using the Spanish endearment Maya hadn't heard in years. "We had no idea." The conversation that followed was long overdue. Maya's parents had been so focused on survival in their new town that they'd missed the signs of their daughter's struggles. They talked about the bullying, the stuttering, the fear that had slowly consumed Maya's confidence. But they also talked about hope, about the courage it takes to share your authentic self with the world, and about the legacy of music that ran through their family like a golden thread. Maya's grandmother had been a singer too, her father revealed. She'd performed in small clubs throughout Mexico City before immigrating to the United States, where she'd set aside her dreams to build a life for her family. But she'd never stopped singing, never stopped believing in the power of music to heal and transform. "She would be so proud of you," her mother said, tears glistening in her eyes. The night of the talent showcase arrived with a spring thunderstorm that seemed to mirror Maya's internal turbulence. The auditorium was packed beyond capacity, with people standing in the aisles and crowding around the doorways. Word about the mysterious elevator singer had spread beyond the school, drawing curious neighbors and local media. Backstage, Maya's hands shook as she adjusted the simple black dress her mother had helped her choose. Her hair was pulled back in a neat bun, and for once, she wasn't trying to hide behind it. Mrs. Henderson had helped her prepare a stripped-down arrangement of Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen, a song that felt like it had been written for her voice, with its soaring high notes and deeply emotional resonance. As she waited in the wings, watching other performers showcase their talents, Maya felt the familiar flutter of fear in her chest. But this time, instead of running from it, she acknowledged it and let it transform into something else. Anticipation, excitement, the electric thrill of being about to share the truest part of herself. When her name was called, Maya walked onto the stage with steady steps. The lights were brighter than she'd imagined, temporarily blinding her to the sea of faces below. For a moment, panic threatened to overtake her. This was her chance to disappear, to mumble an excuse and flee back to the safety of silence. Instead, she closed her eyes and thought of her grandmother, of all the songs left unsung, of all the words she'd swallowed over the years. She thought of that broken elevator and how sometimes the most unexpected circumstances lead us exactly where we need to be. The opening piano notes filled the auditorium, delicate and haunting. Maya opened her eyes, found her parents in the crowd, and began to sing. Hallelujah had never sounded like this before. Maya's voice wrapped around each word with such vulnerability and power that it felt like she was revealing secrets the audience didn't know they needed to hear. The stuttering girl who couldn't speak in class was gone, replaced by an artist who communicated in the universal language of emotion. As she reached the climactic high note, something magical happened. The entire auditorium seemed to inhale collectively, as if 800 people had become one breathing organism, suspended in a moment of perfect beauty. Brooklyn held that note, her voice soaring above the silent crowd like a prayer made audible, and in that instant, every person in the room understood what it meant to witness something transcendent. The silence that followed lasted only seconds, but felt like eternity. Then came the applause, not polite, appreciative clapping, but the kind of thunderous, sustained ovation reserved for moments when art touches the divine. People were standing, crying, reaching toward the stage as if trying to catch some remnant of the magic Brooklyn had just created. But Brooklyn barely heard it. Standing there in the spotlight, feeling the warmth of acceptance and appreciation washing over her like sunlight, she experienced something she'd never felt before, the deep, satisfying knowledge that she belonged exactly where she was. Later, as the crowd slowly dispersed and the congratulations began to blur together, Brooklyn found herself back in that familiar, quiet space. But this time, the silence wasn't empty or fearful. It was full of possibility, pregnant with all the songs yet to be sung, all the stages yet to be conquered, all the hearts yet to be touched. Miss Carter found her sitting on the edge of the stage, her legs dangling over the side, looking peaceful for the first time in years. "How do you feel?" the teacher asked. Brooklyn smiled, and when she spoke, her words came clear and strong, without a single stutter. "Like I finally found my voice." Brooklyn Sinclair's story didn't end that night, of course. It began. She went on to win a full scholarship to the prestigious Berklee College of Music, where she studied vocal performance and music therapy. Today, she travels the country working with young people who feel voiceless, using music to help them discover the power that's been inside them all along. But perhaps more importantly, Brooklyn learned that our greatest struggles often contain the seeds of our greatest strengths. Her stutter, the thing that had caused her so much pain and shame, had led her to discover the sanctuary of song. Her years of silence had taught her the value of words, making her performances more thoughtful and meaningful than they might otherwise have been. Sometimes the world tells us we're not enough, not smart enough, not talented enough, not worthy enough to take up space. But Brooklyn's story reminds us that the world doesn't get to decide our worth. Our voices matter, whether they come through spoken words, sung melodies, painted canvases, or any of the countless ways humans express their authentic selves. The girl they called Echo discovered that she'd never been voiceless at all. She'd just been waiting for the right moment to let her true voice ring out, clear and strong and undeniably beautiful, changing not just her own life, but the lives of everyone lucky enough to hear it. Your voice matters too. Whatever form it takes, however it emerges, the world needs to hear what you have to say. Don't let fear or past pain convince you to stay silent when you were born to sing.